Who's that coming down the track?
Who's that coming down the track?
It's a mean machine in red and black.
It's a mean machine in red and black.
Ain't nothing finer in the land.
Ain't nothing finer in the land.
Than a drunk obnoxious Georgia fan.
And a drunk obnoxious Georgia fan.
Go Dawgs!
Go Dawgs!
Go Dawgs!
What's up, y'all? This is John and Mike back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. We are back live on Millions tonight. If you haven't already, go check us out on millions.co. We're going to be doing these live shows frequently, and I think we're going to get started here soon on some merch to go up there if you're interested in that. I know we're trying to plan to do another watch party here soon as well. So we got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline with Millions. Glad to be partnered with them this season. And another partnership we're glad to have this year, and that is BetUS. Fuse our link, 125% bonus and 30 risk-free bets. If you haven't been making money with us, start this week, because I made money last week. I made about doubled my money last week. I was real happy about what happened. But before we get into all the craziness that happened in week 4, because there was a good bit of shakeup there. How was your weekend and what are you drinking?
Weekend was good. A lot of football end to end. Started with Lincoln, my second son, his football game. His team's not very good. They've been getting dominated, but individually he's playing well. They put him out the outside. We kind of taught him a spin move to do when he's on the defensive line, so that resulted in him having a couple sacks, a couple tackles for loss.
There you go.
He had a pass defended as well. When he was on the offensive line, had a couple pancakes. So I mean, again, individually great, but still lost like 32-0. And they have every touchdown they play, because we had to drive over to Hardyville, South Carolina, which again, it sounds like it's far.
You've never been.
There's not a ton there. There's a quick trip. That's about all that I drove by.
There's a disc golf course in Hardyville.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the only reason I ever go.
And the funny thing is, it's really not that far from us. Like from my house, like door to door or door to field, it was like 35 minutes, which makes it, you feel like it's a lot further than that, but it's not too bad. Drinking, I just have water. It was a long weekend of drinking, so trying to get back on track. How about you?
No, man, went up to Charlotte. Kelsey's got a family member that's pretty sick, so we went up to spend some time with them, and had the misfortune of a 4-hour drive taking 6.5 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great. If you've never driven through Columbia, highly recommend you don't ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people drive as well as their offensive line blocks.
Good at slowing down Georgians, but nobody else.
Yeah. Somebody, single car accident, went through the median. Through it.
You're not supposed to do that.
And it was one of those cable medians. So you had to be taking some speed. Single car accident, through the median. Both sides of the interstate were shut down to one lane. It was pretty miserable. And that's kind of why we didn't record yesterday. Got in the car in Charlotte, and the ETA just kept going up and up and up.
There's nothing worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never had a good experience driving through Columbia. So like when we haven't made the drive to Detroit from Savannah quite yet, but when we've talked about it, my parents came down once or twice, or at least once that way, and they asked like, oh, should we go, the slightly longer way through Atlanta and down 75 and all that, or go, through like the Virginias and the Carolinas and stuff. I'm like, as bad as Atlanta traffic is, you'll be less frustrated with that than you would be in the Carolinas.
Right, because in Atlanta traffic, it's like, oh, there's a 7-car accident. I get it.
And there's 2 cars on fire, and it's just everything. And you get it. You understand.
And then you drive through Columbia, and you're just like, there's no skid marks. There's only one car, and all you see is a car on the other side of the interstate facing the direction you are that drove through a median that's supposed to be able to stop big trucks. It doesn't quite. Math ain't mathin'. Um,
No, nope, not there.
but I am. I'm having a glass of whiskey tonight, unlike the last couple of weeks. Or at least it feels like it's been a couple weeks. I'm drinking a single barrel Russell's Reserve, which is put out by the Wild Turkey Distillery. If you've listened to us for a while, you know I love some Wild Turkey. It
Mhm.
is 9 years old and 110 proof. But
Whew. I had been working on some what I think 93 or 94 proof rum like the last like week and a half, and I'm not as good as I once was. It just hits different, both both going in and coming out.
yeah, I love everything Wild Turkey puts out, but this Russell's Reserve single barrel is one of my favorite bottles of whiskey.
Hmm.
Period. And speaking of whiskey, I'm gonna go ahead and toot my own horn real quick.
Toot toot.
I'm in a fantasy baseball league where everybody puts up a bottle of whiskey at the beginning of the year. This is my third year doing it, and the first 2 years I came in dead last.
Oof.
It's not a joke. It was awful. Um, this year, today, started my fight to win the whole damn thing. I made it to the finals.
Okay.
If I get first, I am getting 6 bottles of whiskey. If I get second,
Woo.
which is worst case scenario, I'm getting 3.
Hell yeah.
So, finally got some new stuff to talk about on the show here soon. I'm pretty excited about that. You know what?
When's that round over?
Sunday.
Okay. There you go.
Sunday. Yeah. While we're talking about stuff that I think everybody's excited about, Georgia is getting another home night game, this time
Yeah.
against Kentucky. Um,
Conference night game. Can you believe it?
it's been a while.
It
It's been a
what
long
Mississippi
while.
State, right?
Um, oh. No, they had to have had one in 21, right?
Uh,
Yes, South Carolina in 21 was a night game.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
I do remember that.
Yeah, Jordan.
But
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Okay. Now that you mention it.
yeah, no, I'm super excited. And if any of you guys listening are going to the game, please reach out. We'll meet up. I know I'm gonna be drunk and obnoxious by the time 7 p.m. kickoff rolls around, doing what I do best. Um, I am planning on bringing earplugs for the people that sit next to me because last year they complained during a game. So yeah,
Were they Georgia fans or were they
yeah, yeah.
what the fuck?
Uh huh. It was Georgia Auburn last year. They complained to themselves, not very subtly. If you're gonna be loud enough for me to hear, say it to me. Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah. Can you believe this guy decked out in all this Georgia stuff at this, random game is just screaming?
Oh, it was the Auburn game.
Yeah, no, 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 that's what I'm saying though. I mean, it's the Auburn games, the Deep South Silvis rivalry. Like, duh. Like you got to know what you're getting into,
Oh, he got
especially where you
season
guys are
tickets
at.
beside me.
Right.
Like he is a season ticket holder that was mad that we were loud.
Was he old or
No, he's probably in his 40s.
Tea and
I
Crumpets crowd getting younger and younger?
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I hope he finds the show one day where I'm complaining about him because um like I've seen him outside of the game a few times, like walking into the stadium, going through the bookstore, stuff like that. He refuses to look me in the eye. I think it's just kind of funny.
That's he needs to just sell his tickets off. That's ridiculous. He's giving the fan base a bad name by not being loud or being pissed off about it being loud.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's kind of ridiculous. But everybody else around us, I mean, we have a great relationship. This is our third season being in those seats. I mean, we
Hmm.
have a great relationship with everybody else around us. I like everybody gets high fives except for those 4 seats every week.
Accidentally pour some. Oh no, I guess there's not beer in there, but pour whatever stuff you snuck in on them accidentally. Oh shit, my bad.
Oh man, I hope it's cold enough at the Kentucky game for me to sneak something in.
Yeah. Gosh, you know what? Now that you mentioned like where you guys are at, so like you've mentioned it before, like in the, the, above the end zone, opposite of the scoreboard. Every time I've looked at tickets, just to kind of get an idea, I'm like, that is the ideal spot, like the
Oh yeah,
alt
you can
22.
see everything.
Yeah, see the scoreboard. I thought like when we went to the spring game back in April, we had sat on like the visitor side, like in the corner, and it's like you could kind of see the scoreboard, but not really. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's not the way to go if you're actually paying money to go to it.
yeah. No, we've talked about it before, and if we ever move seats, we're just gonna move in the 300s towards the home sideline because it actually gets shade. Um,
That's a good point. Yeah.
that's the only way we would move,
Hmm.
especially because I like to see the whole field and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, while we're talking about being drunk and obnoxious, we are putting up the post to get yourself a handle of ASW's Hunker Down Vodka here in I'll throw the picture back up there. If you're watching on Millions or YouTube, you'll see it. We're putting that post out either tonight or tomorrow morning. Really just depends on when I've got time to throw it up. All you have to do, comment, tag a friend. Follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter, X, whatever you call it. That's all you got to
I'm
do.
still uncomfortable with calling it X. Very
Even
uncomfortable.
Elon, pick a better name. Because with the connotation of X as porn, let's be honest.
And all the videos on X are X videos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, oh man, did you see that video I put on X? No, I don't want to know what you did. I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah. If you see it, cool. If not, we will be posting these pictures. You get a handle of Hunker Vodka, the official NIL vodka of the University of Georgia and the Classic City Collective. Super cool. They're giving us the opportunity to give this away with you guys. I think everybody will enjoy it. I don't like vodka, but I'm gonna get some here soon.
Yeah, man,
So,
the bottle's dope at the
oh, it's
very
so cool,
least.
so cool.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, you ready to talk about the Georgia game?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So as we all know by now, Georgia won this game 49-21, the most points Georgia has given up in a regular season game since.
Hmm. In a regular season game?
Yeah,
Uh, Jeez. Definitely. Missouri, right?
I was about to look that up because I don't remember. Yes,
Missouri scored like 22. Yeah, there we go.
22. First time
Hmm.
Georgia's given up more than 20 points in a regular season game since last season at Missouri. But what happened after that Missouri game last year? The team was able to turn it around, figure some stuff out after a couple sloppy games before that. I do think that everyone's thoughts about this game really center around the ball control issue. Georgia had 3 turnovers. Both Makai Muse and Dylan Bell lost a fumble, and Brock Bowers, of all people, had a fumble get knocked out of bounds. So
Hmm.
glad that didn't end up in a turnover, but still not anywhere close to what we wanted to see.
Yeah, and that was all like really close to each other too. Like, I mean, it happened kind
Yes.
of one after another. So I mean, like yawning is contagious. Turnovers are contagious. Yeah, gotta clean that up going forward. You can't be doing that next week at a Jordan Hare. My
Yeah.
bad.
We're disrespectful around here.
Jordan.
But I will say, outside of those 3 turnovers, the offense looked like what we've wanted to see all season.
Hmm.
When Carson Beck was in there, especially on that first drive, they had a touchdown drive without attempting to run the ball with how bad UAB's defensive line is.
Mhm.
I will pat myself on the back and say this kind of ended up exactly like I had said and hoped it would. About they're going to be able to run the ball at will, but that secondary is extremely untested and should be right for the picking there. But Carson finished the day. Granted, his last snap was with over 5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, so 17 minutes left of game time. He's out.
17 minutes left. He had 68.75% completion percentage, 332 yards.
So close.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Round it up.
Yeah, we're going to call that nigh. It doesn't deserve this.
Yeah.
332 yards, 3 touchdowns, passing, and it added a touchdown on the ground where Oscar Delp just kind of picked him up and threw him over the pile, and I thought that was hilarious.
A Delp
Bowers,
dump, if you will.
do what?
A Delp dump, if you will. You know, like the Bush push with Matt Leinart.
Yeah, Delp dump.
That-
But Brock Bowers went over 100 receiving yards. Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint was just under 100 yards. He had 3 catches for 94 yards, including a big 50-yard play. Georgia had more explosive passing plays in this game than I'm pretty sure the rest of the season combined, which was phenomenal to see. Team had 188. Oh, good lord! Not 2 8s, not 5. Team had 188 yards on the ground. Dejan Edwards 12 carries, 66, and 2 touchdowns. Savon Clark 5 for 32 and a touchdown. Dylan Bell had 3 for 22. Cass Jones.
Who?
Cass Jones
Who?
had 3 carries for 3 yards, 2 catches for 16 yards. He is still leading the running back room in receiving yards. I don't remember exactly who it was, but someone during our bold prediction said that was the case, and they are 100% correct so far. I will say, as far as rushing yards go, if Cash Jones would just break down and come on the podcast with us, as the biggest Cash Jones podcast in the country, I think he would have more rushing yards. They'd just be that boost of confidence that he needs. His confidence probably already high as a walk-on, getting as much yards and playing time as it is. But, I mean, we would just kiss his ass for as long as he would listen to it, and that would help.
I mean, he could be the first recipient of that Nothing Finer bump. So, I mean, he's more than welcome to come on and see how greatly it impacts him or affects him going forward. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, Georgia's. I'm not. Nope. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to jinx this. Never mind.
Nope. I'm glad you didn't, because the last time we said something bold on the show, it was about Ole Miss in the game they played on Saturday. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, defense. A lot of people are upset with the defense for having 21 points scored on them. And so, here is my thoughts on that. It's all about the style of offense that UAB plays. That is an air raid team. Zeno, I don't know his first name, but Zeno attempted 51 passes. The last time somebody attempted that many passes on the University of Georgia, I believe, was either Bryce Young in the 2021 championship game or Will Rogers in the 2020 Mississippi State game in Athens. So it doesn't happen often.
No.
Air raid offense. And the thing about an air raid offense is no matter what you do, there's always a 3 or 4 yard play available. And it just kind of is what, unless your pass rush is automatically beating the quarterback's ass, they're going to get 3 or 4 yards on almost every single play. It's just kind of the nature of it. That's why so many of these smaller teams use it instead of the triple option that they used to use. Which, good for them. UAB is going to win a lot of games this year by doing that air raid style of offense. But compared to what Zeno had done all season, 3 games, The defense held him well in check. 62.74% completion percentage, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Before this game, he was averaging 80.1% completion and 318 yards.
Not
So,
bad, all things considered.
all things considered, could be better, could be worse.
Hmm.
I do think it would have been fairly noticeably different if Javon Bullard was healthy.
Yes. Hmm. Absolutely. I'm with, yeah.
I
I can't see it being worse. That's for sure.
I think it would have been noticeably better.
Yeah, you could have put Tyke somewhere else instead of. I mean, he's been great. I mean, Tyke's been playing, out of his mind so far for the most part. But having another guy out there to, fill that void, that leadership void would be definitely helpful.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And once again, they played David Daniel Sisva quite a bit, who I talked about it last week. I would prefer to see Dan Jackson in those scenarios
Mhm.
um, when Javon Bullard's not available. But they played so much dime defense with the air raid passing game that Dan Jackson was on the field as that third safety. So I think that also probably helped a little bit. But that's
Mhm.
just the thing. You're going to give up yards against air raid offenses.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's just like Georgia used to lose to a less talented Tech team with a triple option because they're going to get yards. The offense is designed for little to no negative plays, and that's just kind of how it works.
Hmm. And I mean, you're not exactly preparing for that offense every single week either. I mean, the air raid's a little bit more prevalent than the triple option for sure, especially now. But yeah, yeah. Eh.
Am I happy with the overall performance? No, I think it could have been 100% better.
Hmm.
Um, But am I as pissed and the sky is falling as some of these fans that I've heard on social media? And am I even as upset as I was to the first three games? No.
Right. Hmm.
Um, Especially all these fans that think Auburn is going to just beat the shit out of Georgia. I have seen that many times over
Yeah,
the last few days.
don't get it. Hmm.
Whew,
I screamed from the fucking mountaintop all offseason once they got Peyton Thorne at Auburn. I'm like, there's a reason why he's still not at Michigan State. He's not that good. He's not that guy. He's not him.
yeah,
I don't see, I never saw it, still don't see it. I don't get it.
yeah, I yeah. I will.
Yeah, we'll get into all the Auburn stuff later in the week, but yeah, he's not that guy.
Yeah. One last thing that I want to add before you get to your notes here. The offense on Saturday with Carson Beck in the game looked a lot more like what we saw last year
Hmm.
than any of the other three games this season. And even with Brock Vandegrift, who I thought played extremely well in his two drives, first, I think you have a clear number two quarterback now, which is good.
Hmm. Yeah.
But the offense played well and essentially did whatever they wanted to do for most of this game until they decided to stop trying.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so if the offense continues like this, I am a lot more. The silver lining is a lot easier to see when the offense plays like they did in the first half and the third quarter.
Yeah, I was a lot happier, yeah, with this game than had been the previous games. And that's kind of what I'm gonna kind of skip around a little bit here. Just the people that are like really upset, and like I try to like look at things like objectively and see like where people are coming from with everything, but like sometimes like I don't know what to make of certain things. So like obviously the offense ended up having like what like 550 yards of total offense and all that. And like I mean that's the best output and just the best they've looked all season thus far. But are we the fans that are like thinking the sky is falling and still, bitching and moaning about Bobo? Is it more so that they're judging it against that Monken offense, and even and that always had its hiccups as well, like in like Missouri and Kent State and all that. But are they judging it against like the literal perfect game that Georgia played against TCU in the national championship? Like that's our lasting impression of that Monken offense and that team. Is it are we or not? I shouldn't say we necessarily, but are some Georgia fans just unfairly judging this team versus last year's team, at least offensively?
No, I think they are 100%. Just a quick interjection here. Jalen Carter just forced a fumble on the Bucks. So, side note. But
Yeah.
no, I think it's extremely unfair to compare this team and this offense to last year's offense. And offense specifically because there's a lot more returning on defense than offense.
Mhm.
Because Georgia lost both tackles, right?
Mhm.
You're putting in Amarius Mims, who played a good bit down the stretch last year, and a guy that took 0 snaps in meaningful time last year.
Yeah.
You're taking away a quarterback that won back-to-back national championships for a
And
guy that had
experience. I mean, just
never,
experience outside of that. I mean, he's been on the team since 2017.
yeah, for a
Yeah.
guy that never started until the first weekend of September this year.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah. Like I said,
taking,
yeah.
no,
Mhm.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's like he hasn't started a college or a game since high school, since what 2019 or whatever it was,
Yeah,
Carson's senior year. So I mean, there's gonna be some hiccups. Like the people that came out expecting him to be, Stetson Bennett with a bigger arm, that was unfair. I mean, just point blank, wasn't fair.
you're losing Kenny McIntosh.
Hmm.
Do it all back from last season.
Hmm.
You lost Branton Robinson to an injury. Kendall Milton was limited. Dejan Edwards was completely out for the first 2 weeks of the season.
Hmm.
You lost
Oh,
Darnell Washington,
yeah.
Kieris Jackson,
Hmm.
A.D. Mitchell. I mean, the returning production on the offensive side of the ball was just not there.
Hmm.
And
And it was deceptive too. I mean, because like you think about all like the weapons that they had coming back. Ladd hasn't played either. I mean, he
yeah,
may play against Auburn, but I mean, still a back issue and all that. Um, so I mean, they've had a lot of key pieces missing, and just hoping for someone to step up. In which some cases they have, some cases still waiting on a little bit there. But
Kirby did say
it's
today that Ladd will start practicing tomorrow.
okay, good, good.
He's practicing in a non-contact, and if the week goes well, he will play on Saturday. We all know what Ladd does to the Auburn Tigers.
Yes, yes. I think I saw from I can't remember what source it was, and it may just be BS, but someone said that when he was doing non-contact like practice stuff, his GPS set it was like at 24 miles an hour, which I mean is obviously fast as hell. Hopefully that's true, or at the very least, even if it's a little bit off. I'm hoping that he's playing fast. I hope he's ready to hit the ground running on Tuesday.
Yeah, and so, as someone who has uh, a significant back injury, I've heard Ladd's isn't significant, but I will say when you tweak it, you lose all confidence in your ability to do pretty much anything.
Hmm.
So if he was held out until he's 100% better, I'm all on board for that. Georgia
Yeah.
won every game so far. Some of
Hmm.
them were closer than you'd like them to have been. But the important thing is when they get into the teams that, have an effect on the outcome of the season, to have him back as close to 100% as possible, because a lot of people, I feel, forget that he was hurt for half the season last year, not practicing and only playing on Saturdays.
Hmm. Yeah, and he was limited in the. I mean, he got hurt in the SEC championship as well, and
Yeah.
then I mean, he was kind of limited in the Peach Bowl, and then obviously showed out in the national championship. But yeah, he hasn't been right in a while.
Yeah. So I think it's awesome that they were able to pretty much sit him the first 4 weeks with no even question that he needed to play because there wasn't one.
Hmm.
I'm really hoping that if he comes back this week, he's healthy, and if he's not healthy or as close to 100% as he can be, sit him until Kentucky.
Yeah. Hmm.
I I'm 100% on board the train of we need Lad healthy more than we need him now.
Yeah. 100%. Same thing with Kendall Milton as well.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Kendall was completely out of practice today as well. Um, so, shout out Kirby or Ron Corson if you heard the show where we said put Kendall Milton in a physical rehab program until Kentucky at the earliest.
Have
Um,
him sleep in the cryogenic chamber until it's ready to go.
yeah, I mean, shit, I'd like to do that. Hook me up,
That,
Ron.
right?
um, did we get to your notes down here? I know we
All
kind
right.
of
So
dancing around them.
the only other thing was I don't know how closely you were paying attention to it because I know I typed this out and then I saw it even afterward. But how bad was the commentary team on this game? Was it Ron Gilmore or Rod Gilmore and somebody else that I hadn't heard of?
I,
Um.
if
Oh my
I'm
God.
being 100% honest with you, um, I think I would have rather had CBS.
Yeah. For all the crap that we talk about Gary and Brad,
We
I
found
mean
somebody worse.
yeah. I can't believe the number one team in the country gets, I mean, that bottom of the barrel. I didn't realize Rod Gilmore was doing colors. I guess I really don't know what he was doing, but it was bad. There was a catch, or there not a catch, but there was a play. I can't even remember who it was at this point. I should have written it down, but I think it was UAB. They had throw a pass to the end zone, and one of the commentators had said, "Oh, it's a catch," and it was like clearly it was like 5 or 6 yards over his head, and he didn't even get a hand on it. It's
Yeah,
like, okay, we're gonna look back at this and see if he caught it, and then it's like, no, no, that
yeah,
wasn't even close.
yeah. Like, first and foremost, do you need glasses? Because at this
Right.
point, I'm concerned about your health. You shouldn't be
Hmm.
driving.
Yeah.
Um, but second, yeah, yeah, no, it was awful. I will say we were watching this game at my wife's very Pentecostal grandparents' house, who used to not allow sports on their TV. Um, so they made an exception for us, but I had to put on a different personality
Oh no.
to watch this game, and we watched it at a very low level. Um, yeah, I even to just prevent a whole ordeal, I flipped my nose ring up because it's yeah no
I couldn't even imagine. Like you probably had like veins popping out of your head for certain stuff.
uh huh uh
Oh
huh
my God.
there was one point where I almost yelled a cuss word. I almost yelled damn, and I said
Oh.
dang. It was it was tough, but I love Kelsey's grandparents to death.
Mhm.
Glad we got to spend some time with them. I would absolutely go up there on another game weekend as long as it wasn't an SEC game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, the commentating or the crew just all around was. I mean, it made me wish that Beth Mullins was doing a game.
oh.
It was bad. It was bad.
That's someone else who I'm concerned about her health.
Hmm.
Like, it was it an injury that made her voice that raspy? Does she smoke a lot? Either way, I am concerned about her health.
Yeah. I know ESPN did a bunch of budget cuts and things like that, but I think for what it's worth, that they hired Pat McAfee. Sorry, Jesus. I see. I can't talk either. You know what? I would be fine. I would be fine with it. So I mean, they should have listened to our live stream. They could put up with a little bit of cursing and stuff like that. I think we were very entertaining for that Utah Florida game, a game that was otherwise pretty boring.
Yes. No, I had a good time, and especially being able to get Bobby on and talk with us.
Hmm.
You ready to move
And
on to players of the game?
yeah, let's go.
All right. Starting off with offense, who you got?
All right, so I don't really think there's another choice besides our boy Brock Bowers. After combining for 57 yards against Ball State and South Carolina, he exploded on Saturday for 9 catches for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had in that group, he had a catch for 41 yards. And in the game, he did surpass 2,000 career receiving yards. So shout out Brock, still doing big things. Still that 1,000 yards is still within reach for this season.
Absolutely. God, I want him to get it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
Hey, if they keep force feeding him like they did on Saturday, they can make it work.
I
Just
think what
keep doing those
happened,
tunnel screens for him.
I really think what happened is Bobo was just like, hey, let me dust off Todd's playbook here.
Yeah.
Um, oh,
It's 19? Who?
what? Well, first off, who's this? I This one play just says give to 19.
Mhm.
Okay, let's try that.
Oh, before we go on to the rest of that, I did remember one other thing that the commentary team said. They were talking something about Napa like for a good like 90 seconds about how players don't come out of there and they're all soft and stuff like that. It's like, well, yeah, it's not a high school hotbed necessarily, but they just kept talking about just Napa like because they had nothing else to talk about. Nothing worthwhile, just Napa.
The wildest thing to me is calling people from Napa soft when Brock Bowers played most of the 2021 season with a torn labrum.
Yeah. He is the opposite of soft.
Yeah, like trust. Once again, I know I have a lot of injuries, but I'm about to have surgery on my torn labrum, and the last 4 years have been an SOB trying to do anything. I couldn't imagine playing football with it.
Yeah, getting hit, like getting in a car accident every time he touched the ball.
Well, imagine getting tackled and that shoulder lands on the ground.
Hmm.
It makes my shoulder hurt thinking about it.
Yeah, insane. Yeah, you can say a lot of stuff about Brock, but not being tough is one of them. Or
No,
not being soft, I should say, is not one of them.
yeah. All right, defensive player of the game, and I think you got to go Smile Mondon. You know, side note here, UGA put on player bios like
Hmm.
name pronunciation on some of them. Smile Mondon's not one of those.
That's an interesting one because there's plenty of guys that have easier names to say than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
No, I just want to know how to pronounce it so I can do it correctly. I do believe it's Smile.
Hmm.
Um, but he had 4 tackles and a pass breakup, I believe.
Hmm.
It's also I think if you're doing a 1A 1B Xavier Sori, what is definitely a good option there. I feel like even Xavier Sori could be a 1B on newcomer of the game because he didn't really play a whole lot last year. Really,
Hmm.
really like the way that both of those guys have progressed.
Hmm.
Um, Sorry, guys, cannot talk right now. But yeah, all four of Smile Mondon's uh, tackles were solo, which is extremely impressive.
Hmm.
Um, Great game
Yeah,
by
not
both of
piggy,
those guys.
yeah, not piggybacking off of anybody just doing all that work himself. But the Boom's newcomer of the game, uh, Jonel Aguero, forced solo tackles himself. He also had a tackle for loss. I thought the defensive line played a lot better, at least getting pass rush and just like putting pressure on the quarterback. This is their best game, I think, so far of the season. And Aguero was definitely one that stood out in this game.
No, I agree 100%. I thought that he made a huge leap between the last time he played against Ball State and this game.
Hmm.
Because I will say in the first 2 games I wasn't really happy with his pass coverage,
Yeah,
but on Saturday he played his ass off, and I thought just that progression in 2 weeks says a lot about what he's going to be able to do.
yeah. I'm excited to see how he progresses the rest of his career here for sure.
Hungriest, Dog, if you guys have a recommendation for this, please let us know if you have something other than Hungriest Dog for us to give the award to. Um, but Marvin Jones Jr. fought through an illness to play in this game. He was causing havoc, pressuring the quarterback. I thought he did extremely well in this game. Tackle
Hmm.
for loss. When you see number 7 on the defense flying around, that's Marvin Jones Jr., and he's done a hell of a job this year in his
Yeah.
first real significant playing time.
Hmm. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. There's apparently some stomach bug or something like that going around the locker room. So I was glad he was able to play because I think Michael Williams. I know he didn't play, and I think that was probably the cause of it. I can't remember if they said officially if it was just because he was sick or there was something else, but um, it seems like this type of thing always comes around like for the Auburn game, or maybe I'm just like making that up. I don't know, but
No, a couple of years ago, it might have been on the Auburn side that there was a sickness going around.
okay.
But within the last year or two, right around the Auburn game, one of the two teams has been sick. I can't remember which.
Hmm. Just
Um,
something about it. You know what? Because this game should not be played in September.
yeah,
It happens as soon as they change the schedule around.
it's just Gus Malzahn causes physical illness with his complaining. To be
Hmm.
fair, to be fair, Kirby and the athletic director before Josh Brooks, can't remember his name right now. Do you remember?
Uh, um, no, not off the top of my head.
Whoever that guy is, and Kirby are also partially responsible.
Yeah, they
But
agreed to it.
but Gus, it's your fault.
Hmm.
It's your fault, Gus. All right, let's move over
Oh,
to one of the
it was
games.
Greg McGarity. That's who it
Craig
was.
McGarity, yes,
How could you forget? Yeah, he was there 10 years.
because he made himself very easy to forget. Anyways,
Yeah, that's true.
Florida State 2.5 point favorites go into the fake Death Valley. Clemson over under 55 and a half. This is the game that I said I was most excited for this past weekend, and
Hmm.
with good reason. Florida State ended
Hmm.
up winning 31-24 in overtime. A couple fun facts here. Clemson has lost 4 of their last 7 games.
Ooh.
In those games, they had more total yards, more rushing yards, and more time of possession than their opponent they lost to.
Hmm.
Um, I I mean, my next note here is when they lose games, it is 100% because they play Oprah ball. Everybody gets it, including the other team.
Yeah, it's all about ball security. They have been struggling with that quite a bit, and it's not just DJU from
Well,
the last couple of years. It's been a team issue for them for whatever reason.
I will say it's just the whole entire state of South Carolina because they lost to
Yeah.
F-35 too.
Hmm. Well, what was that in the last 2 weeks? The U.S. has lost like what $190 million worth of jets between that F-35 and Aaron Rodgers.
Um, I don't know how much an individual F-35 costs, but I know the program to build them, which is still not done. They're not done fixing the problems.
Hmm.
But the program to create the F-35 has cost over $2 trillion. Yep.
Oh my! Oh, so many things we could say.
Yep. Glancing right over the political statements we can make here.
Yeah. Hmm.
The more and more I watch both Florida State and LSU, the more I think that week 1 game was what I'll call a construction game. It's because one team was working at the ceiling and one team was working at the floor.
Hmm.
Because the Florida State team that we saw against Boston College and for 90% of this game against an unranked Clemson
Hmm.
were atrocious.
Yeah, that's putting
I,
it lightly. Yeah, I don't even know how to put it. Like they could have easily been what 2-2 at this point.
yeah, if like 2 plays go differently, they're 2-2.
Hmm. Yeah, really. Because Boston College got blown out, in like and the other couple other games as well. So it's not
Well,
like
they
Boston
had a
College is
hard
up and
fought
down.
game when they lost to Holy Cross.
Yeah, never forget, never forget. It's
No,
pesky FCS teams.
I mean, honestly, at this point, the Heisman race needs to be just like a group of Pac-12 quarterbacks
Hmm.
and Jordan Travis because the team is not near as good as he makes them look.
Yeah, he covers up a lot of ills on this team. I mean, we I think we talked about it before with Florida State, relying on the transfer portal as much as they have, but Jordan Travis has been the guy that's kind of brought all that together. And if he goes down for whatever reason, then they're in a lot of trouble.
While we're talking about transfer players at Florida State, um, shout out Marcus Satterfield for making Jaheim Bell look like an NFL tight end
Yeah, really. Hmm.
because he's been non-existent pretty much this season. I highly, highly disappointed in drafting him in our fantasy league.
Yeah. 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 Shout out to Satterfield.
Uh, Florida State's defense 100% won this game for them. Jordan Travis and the
Mhm.
offense struggled to do a whole lot except for short and intermediate passing. I want to say they had less than 80 yards rushing through 4 quarters and overtime.
Hmm.
Their leading rusher was Jordan Travis. Eh,
Not ideal.
No, 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 no. You don't want your only option at quarterback to also be your leading rusher. Um, Turnovers, once again, man.
Mhm.
Dabo coached well until really the last 2 minutes. The Clemson kicker missed a chip shot to take the lead in regulation. And then Florida
They
State, go ahead.
I say the broadcast jinxed him so bad.
They
They
did.
panned over to his family and they go, oh, they're there, and he hasn't. I mean, his senior hasn't kicked very much, and it's a chip shot, and just knuckleballs it.
Well, and the broadcast did terrible because after he missed it, they immediately went to his mom on camera.
Yeah,
So
like like
that's
what are you expecting her to do? Like her cuss out her son? Like oh my god,
that's brutal. That's heartbreaking.
yeah.
Your son waited 5 years to get his chance,
Hmm.
playing potentially a game-winning field goal against a top three team at the time.
Oh, I they when I pulled up the box score, they had showed it. Oh, I mean that I can't imagine. Oh, geez.
No, that's brutal.
Hmm. They
I
did, yeah, did them wrong. That whole family.
Yeah, no, I and the next game we're going to talk about has a lot of coaching errors in it too. But
Mhm.
Florida
Hey, but
State,
Keon Coleman though. Talking about
shout out
transfer
me
portal.
on drafting him in the last
Yeah,
round of our fantasy draft.
yeah. The one you got right, you knocked out of the park.
Oh,
Like good. I mean, again, I um Peyton Thorne again. Going back to him with Auburn, like they Keon Coleman and Peyton Thorne play together at Michigan State, and Keon Coleman is the only reason why Peyton Thorne is even looked at or even got thought of to be I don't know, even an option as a transfer
a
quarterback.
D1 quarterback.
Yeah, yeah, that is it.
No,
That catch
man,
was ridiculous.
uh, just the whole the whole mentality, whether it's coaches, players, whatever. But Clemson getting the ball back, getting a big play, and
Mhm.
then not spiking the ball.
The mismanagement of that. Now I will say before that, um, there was an injury before. I think it was on that fourth down play, where the Clemson safety had went down and they had to do an injury timeout for him, so they lost their
Yeah,
final timeout, or else it would have been more agreed. It would have gave them an option at least to call a timeout, but they could have easily spiked that ball and ran something quick and got back into field goal range, but they
yeah,
totally mismanaged that.
yeah, and that's on the coach.
Yeah.
Like that is
Mhm.
on Garrett Riley and Dabo Sweeney to not tell Cade Klubnik, hey, with the new rules in college football, if you get a big play, we don't have timeouts. If you get
Mhm.
a big play, as soon as you have the opportunity, spike the ball. We'll figure it out then.
Well, and then the funny thing, like when they had to realize it, because they burned some time, they were all acting like they were going to go back to the sideline. Then they came back. They're go, oh shit, we can spike it. They had ran out of time. But at that point, the last 2 minutes, the clock does stop until they get it set. in each half. So
Yeah,
it did
like
stop
you
for a
could
little
have
bit, but even
lost.
then,
You could have only lost like 3 seconds.
yeah, yeah. But they could have ran at least one more play and got a little bit closer. But again, mismanagement. I I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, Clemson's 2-2 at this point. I feel they're 0-2 in the ACC, so their chances of making the conference championship are probably done.
Yeah,
So
it interests
yeah,
it interests me even more for that Clemson Miami game. I think it's this week, if not next week.
I'm gonna check real quick while we're finishing that up.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about how this game turned out is Florida State did not lead a second of regulation. They
Yeah,
led
mhm,
for what, 6 plays in overtime?
yeah, yeah. I think it was exactly that. Yeah. Hmm.
That's that reminds me of a couple years ago when the Packers beat the Lions twice in a season without leading second of
You know
regulation.
what? In the back of my head, I was thinking about it. You talking about that Hail Mary game?
Yeah, and then the walk off field goal a few at the end of that season. Yeah,
Yep, yep, yep.
lead
Um,
0 seconds of regulation, still come away with a big win.
the Lions. I mean, they've always found different ways to lose. But again, side note, Detroit does play Green Bay on Thursday night if you have a Prime Video. So
I do have Prime Video, but I gave up being a Packers fan when they drafted 0 players that would help them this season.
yeah. So Florida State actually has a bye this week, and then next week they play against Virginia Tech. So they got a little bit of.
I was more saying Clemson, Miami.
Oh, my bad. I
You're
don't
good.
know.
Um, Florida State in no way, shape, or form deserve to actually drop in the polls this week.
Mhm.
I don't think they deserve to drop anything, considering they went into what is said to be one of the most hostile environments in college football, came
Mhm.
away with a win where they won by more than they were favored by.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
don't. Once again, the math ain't mathin' because they should absolutely not have dropped a single spot, let
Mhm.
alone below a team that only won because Marcus Freeman didn't know you're supposed to put 11 players on the field.
Or didn't want to take the. It's like, oh, I don't want to take a half-yard penalty on the final play of the game to get an extra to get the adequate amount of guys out there. But good lord. Um,
Yeah.
so I did see it though. Clemson actually goes to Syracuse on Saturday. So
Okay.
there's that.
And next week they play Miami because I know it's soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think pull it up real quick. They play Miami on October 21st, so they got two more games.
Oh.
Got at Syracuse and then at home against Wake.
Um,
Hey, but
speaking
Florida
of
State,
Wake,
Louisville, Florida State, Louisville, and Duke at the top of the conference right now.
speaking of Wake Forest, got their ass beat by Georgia Tech. Good for you, Georgia Tech. Didn't
They
hit
they
the
have a pulse,
didn't hit the over, but they sure did win.
just like Tech, just well enough to win, not well enough to make anybody any actual money. That seems about right.
Um, I know this is Georgia podcast. We're all very interested in this. DeAndre Swift just hurdled a guy and kept running.
Ooh, flashbacks to that Notre Dame game.
Yeah. No, he got like another 10 yards after he hurdled this dude. So,
Damn.
so shout
Now,
out
did he?
DeAndre. You just had to get out of Detroit and start drinking some clean water to stay healthy.
I don't know if Philly's that much cleaner. Did he get? Is he okay afterward? Like after he went down, if he, whether he ran out of bounds? Because I don't have it out up in front of me. But is he okay? Was he able to walk off? Did he leave the
Oh
game?
yeah, he didn't leave the game.
Oh,
He's
good.
about to score
Okay.
a touchdown.
Yeah, they could have used him, but I don't know. We're 2-1. It's okay.
All right, Ole Miss went to Tuscaloosa. Alabama 7 point favorite, over under 55 and a half. The under was smashed in this one.
Yeah, 21
Um,
points, 21 and a half.
I'll be honest, I do not have a lot on this game because Lane Kiffin's mismanagement of the clock, of his attitude, of his players, of their play calling is the kind of stuff that gets people fired.
Hmm.
When he came out of the half and had a bad attitude and said something along the lines of Alabama's the best team in the country at making second half adjustments, we'll see if we can win. Like, you should have been left at the tarmac again, Lane.
Hmm.
At fourth quarter interview, he was pouting and pretty much said they weren't going to win this game.
And that's maddening because again, it's not like Alabama
Is
dominated
good.
this game. Yeah,
It's
they're
not
not
like they're
good.
good.
This is the worst Alabama team since what?
Oh
Any
seven.
10? Yeah, okay. I was well under Saban. Yeah, since his first year there, or even a little
I
bit before that.
Lane Kiffin did a great disservice to his team, his fans, his family, the university, his behavior. Like, give me the get your popcorn ready Lane. Like, give me
Yes.
the disrespectful to the other team Lane.
Hmm.
But when you're disrespecting your players and your coaches by saying, let's see if we can win, no, absolutely
Right.
not.
Hmm.
First off, that's not your personality. But second, you're admitting defeat with 30 minutes of football to play.
Yeah. It beyond frustrating.
This is the exact same kind of performance that was the nail in the coffin for Mark Richt in Athens.
Hmm.
I debated on whether I was going to say that or not, but just the flustered at a not that good Alabama team. You've been playing better than them all season. You're flustered and you refuse to make any second half adjustments.
Hmm.
I was at that game in 2015. Trust me, I know.
Hmm.
Ridiculous. I've jumped off the lane train. I got road rash. I'm stuck in some briars. But if this is the way you're gonna treat the biggest game of the year, that was 7-9 going into the half, I don't care.
Hmm. One positive going into this is again, I was the biggest Ole Miss believer that I know of going into it. I mean, I was even a few days ago talked about riding the lane train all the way to Atlanta for the rematch. I feel way better about Georgia playing Ole Miss today than I did last week.
Oh,
Way better,
100%. 100%.
way better. I mean, honestly, besides Florida, just because it's always a weird game. Missouri and Kentucky might give us the biggest fits, to be honest.
Who would have thought?
Right.
Who would have thought
Hmm.
after week one that the three undefeated teams in the SEC would be Georgia? That was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Kentucky, who we thought was going to be better, and after a 4-0 start, while it's not pretty, they've still won every game.
Hmm.
And Missouri.
Mizzou, top 25 Missouri.
The problem is Missouri hasn't won a game versus a Power 5 opponent as a ranked team since like 2015. Um,
Oof. Okay.
so that's a rough look. But they do
Hmm.
play Vandy this week,
Hmm.
and
Which Vandy gave Kentucky some fits. Every
they
time I kind of
did.
put eyes on
But
it.
I never thought the sentence that I'm about to say would ever come out of my mouth. Brady Cook has played 5 times better than Devin Leary has this season, and I am a lot less worried about Mizzou playing Vandy than I was Kentucky playing Vandy.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Who would have thought 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago?
Who'd have
Hmm.
thought on Friday that
Right.
that Missouri would be like, oh yeah, they're definitely beating Vandy. When everybody was like, I don't know, Kentucky's favored by 20. We'll see if they hit. They didn't.
I feel awful that I thought Missouri was going to win, less than 6 games. Like I didn't think they were going bowling, and here they are about to clinch bowl eligibility in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Shout out Missouri. Shout
Yeah.
out Adam Spencer. I hope we have him on here in a couple weeks.
Mm. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right. I know you have some
Recording
stats
stopped.
written down.
Oh,
Oh, hold on.
you run out of space.
I don't understand how. I
Hmm.
don't. I deleted almost every program. All right, whatever. I'm just gonna literally delete everything. that is not an episode that we have. Um, all right. If you are in the live stream, thanks for staying with us. And now you know why all of our recordings lately have been frustrating. Because everything has decided that I don't have enough space on my computer, even though I know I do. All right, let's see if it'll let us record again.
Oops.
All right, let's see if I can. I'm gonna start recording to the cloud.
Recording in progress.
All right, we're back. Let's hope that the cloud doesn't start raining and we can keep this train rolling. All right. Do you have anything else you want to talk about this Ole Miss game? Because I'm kind of Lane pissed me off to the point where I don't even know how much I
Mhm.
want to talk about this game.
Well, I mean, it's definitely SEC West is definitely just a two-team race at this point because again, nobody can be confident that Ole Miss is going to be doing anything worthwhile. I mean, even when I was at my peak, past Dells and Bama Banks, hoping and on the Lane train there, I still thought they would lose, you know, two conference games and just have the tiebreakers over over Alabama and LSU. But that is way out of the question because LSU is going to kick the crap out of them when they play.
Yeah.
Um,
If you thought this Bama game, Ole Miss looked helpless at times,
mhm,
boy, I might be actually putting money on LSU to cover whatever the spread is.
mhm. Do you remember where that game is at?
I want to say
Curious.
it's at LSU.
Okay, so yeah, LSU by whatever they put the line at.
I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm looking it up now. And I'm actually about
It is.
to
It's in Oxford this week.
in
It is on.
Oxford this week.
Mhm.
I'm pulling up the spread to see how confident I am in the Hammer LSU statement.
Wow. ESPN. Not. I don't have Bet US up, but ESPN has LSU as a 3-point favorite.
Yep, that's what I've got
Hammer.
too on Bet US.
Hmm.
Hammer
Hmm.
Hammer LSU. You can get good odds. It's minus 105.
Yeah, that is good. Go. Yeah, do it now. Do it.
Hammer LSU minus 3.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Yeah. In like what you were saying with Lane Kiffin, this being like the kind of the final straw, like for anybody to have confidence in him, like Mark Richt, like going back to that 2015 game where Georgia got beat down by Bama in Sanford Stadium. I mean, that was pretty much it for everybody. They're like, you know what? If not now, when? Like we felt that way going into that game, and then just the way it ended up playing out, and the rain and all that. I mean, it was fitting. Like that was the final nail in Coach Rick's coffin, and you can kind of I don't know what the Ole Miss fan base appetite is. We will when we hopefully we'll talk to Grayson when that in November when Georgia plays Ole Miss, but I'm sure the vibes are way different today in Oxford than they were again a week ago.
The problem is I don't know what the standard is
Hmm.
for Lane in Oxford because if they're happy with 8, 9 win season and getting up to 10 every few years,
Hmm.
he's gonna do that.
Yeah, he can get to 10 occasionally for sure, and especially now that they're not going to there's not a East and West or not divisions after this year. I mean he has a chance to consistently be at least an 8 or 9 win team, if not a 10. So, but are you going to win a championship? You're going to win an SEC championship? No, not with
Well, they've
Lane.
only ever won one, so it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's necessarily part of the conversation. I think.
Hmm. But I mean, they've been such a tease, like under Hugh Freeze at times, and then they, would choke there, and
Don't
then
talk
even with
about
Lane.
freezing, or don't talk about teasing and Hugh Freeze in the same sentence.
Oh
He might
man,
get out his burner phone.
oh yeah, man.
Ah, are you ready to move on to a game that disappointed us in the coach almost as bad?
Yeah, this was a letdown. I mean, yeah, it was a letdown. We'll get into it.
All right, Ohio State was favored by 3 points at Notre Dame, over under 55 and a half. Ohio State won this game 17-14, so
It was a
they
push.
pushed on the spread. I will say Notre Dame lost this game because not just on the final play, on the final two plays, Notre Dame played with 10 defenders on the field, and
Hmm.
on the very last play, you know the position they were missing.
It was like defensive tackle, wasn't it?
No, it was the defensive end that was covering the hole they ran through.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Marcus Freeman, former defensive coordinator. What the fuck, dude?
I don't get it. It would have only been if even if they would have, it was like a late substitution. It would have only been a half a yard at most penalty for literally like like it was a fourth. What was it, a fourth down? It would have been the last play anyway because they ended up putting 1 second back on the clock. But uh, I both neither team played great by any means. But
Neither team
again, Notre Dame,
deserved to
yeah,
win this
Notre,
game.
yeah. If a giant meteor could have hit like I wanted, we would have been better served.
100%. No, to be fair, I did say, I did say, if you like offense and if you like passing, this is not a game for you.
Hmm.
Um,
You were right. Yeah. I thought Hartman would have been a little bit better. I mean, Ohio State's defense was able to keep him, contained, but gosh, man. Ugh.
it was awful. It was
How
just
and before we even get to the rest of that, how did Ohio State jump Florida State after that?
because Notre Dame was a top 10 team.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Man,
That's
but
literally it. That's the
had to be
only
it.
way. Um,
But you can't say that I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's silly. I don't know. I mean, I would take Florida State over Ohio State on neutral field right now, but
oh,
that's not
100%.
where
100%.
we're at.
You got some stuff wrote down here, and then we're going to talk about Ryan Day's quote because
Okay.
I've got a few things on that. So if you want to
Yeah.
go ahead,
All right. So I can talk about both offenses struggled quite a bit. I mean, it really there wasn't much to look forward to. Everybody was pretty much neutralized there. Um, I can't remember at what point. I think I want to say it was the third or fourth quarter. Marvin Harrison had his ankle rolled up, and I mean, realistically, he was pretty ineffective most of the game anyway. He wasn't. I mean, he wasn't doing a ton for
he
Ohio
had three
State.
catches for 32 yards.
Yeah. So not great. Not the best. The best look for him being the best receiver in the game allegedly, but somebody had called him. Did I have that in there? Somebody called him a tough guy, which I don't want to necessarily call it somebody's toughness or whatever, but Marvin Harrison is no Brock Bowers when it comes to playing through stuff.
No, um, no.
Not at all. So, do you want me to go through the quote stuff, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and read that because I've got one kind of take off of it, and then we can discuss a little bit more.
All right. So at the end of the game, hopefully, I'm sure you guys saw this, but at the end of the game, Ohio State coach Ryan Day was pretty fired up when it was over. And this is coming straight from ESPN. I'm just reading it verbatim from their recap. He was criticizing former Irish coach Lou Holtz, who called out the Buckeyes' toughest in predicting an Fighting Irish victory earlier this week. And Ryan Day, I mean, he was super red, super pissed off, like just screaming at the sideline reporter. He's like, I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. What he said about our team, I can't believe this is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio. It's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world. But I'll tell you what, I love those kids. We got a tough team. So first of all, the Ohio versus the world.
That's because
Um,
that's because you force everyone to hate you.
yeah,
It's
no, but
not.
it's not even. That's not even his fucking phrase. Okay, so everyone has a bit of this, like like so and so versus everybody, Ohio versus the world, all that. That phrase came from Michigan. There was a company called Detroit versus everybody. They had these shirts over everything. It's all over the Lions, at Ford Field and all that. But that whole phrase and that whole idea of this versus everybody, at least on T-shirts and just being a more popular phrase, came out of Michigan, and they bit that off totally, totally.
My thing
Like,
is, like, there were, with the Peach Bowl last year, there were a
mhm,
lot of people that didn't want Georgia to win. 100%.
right.
I get it.
Hmm.
I understand. There were
Yeah.
a lot of people on Ohio State's side. But
Hmm.
everything they have done since New Year's of this past year, talking about that hit once a week, their athletic director talking about it last week,
Hmm.
talking about that play, talking about that game,
Still,
constantly.
270-ish days later,
The
still
people that
talking
were
about it.
Ohio State neutral
Hmm.
hate you now because you won't shut
Yeah.
up. You have
Hmm.
forced people to not like you.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is Ohio State versus the world because you have forced the people that didn't care to hate you as much as everybody else that hated you before.
Yeah. And the fact that he wanted to fight an 86-year-old man, Lou Holtz was at the game, of course. I mean, not that he's always been all there anyway, but what the hell else is he gonna say? He's like, oh yeah, I think Ohio State's gonna win this game when they're honoring the last national championship team that Notre Dame had.
Yeah,
Give me a break. Give me a break. Give
yeah,
me a break. I,
yeah. It's not like you're calling out a player that said that, or
mm,
a current coach that said that, or Pat McAfee, Kirk Herbstreit that said Ohio State's not anything, Notre
mm,
Dame's gonna roll. You're calling out
yeah,
a dude that retired from TV because he is so elderly that he can't handle the travel anymore.
right.
But that's the only person that Ryan Day is tough enough to call out. If you want
Right.
to talk about tough, your team might be tough,
Hmm.
but your Charmin baby shit soft, Ryan Day.
Hmm. You can tell he's feeling that hot seat. I mean, he knows that
It's
if
hot
he doesn't
because
get
he
his shit
continues to
together,
shit his pants every year.
mhm,
Steaming.
he's yeah. I mean, this is the same thing that oh no, I can't remember his name. The coach that Ohio State had before Jim Tressel. Jesus, what was his name?
Oh, I definitely don't
Uh,
know that.
oh God, I mean oh my God, I have to look it up now. I can't believe I'm forgetting it. But the coach before Jim Tressel routinely was like a top five team, and I think he was like 1-8 against Michigan before they turn it around. Uh, Now I can't remember his name for the life of me, but I mean Ryan Day is basically that. I mean he'll beat other teams, but when it comes time to face teams that are of equal talent or maybe even a little bit better, he can't do it. He's
No,
not mentally not tough enough. He's shown that he cannot do this.
no, no. Now, if this gets to Ryan Day and he would like to talk to me about it,
Hmm.
absolutely, I'll have a conversation with you, 100%. Because
Hmm.
I'm not 86. Like I will talk all of the trash in the world to
Hmm.
you about you.
Hmm. Yo, you know who it was? It was John Cooper. He was 111 and 43. He had a 71% winning percentage, but he could not beat Michigan or anybody, worth a damn.
Yeah. I really hope somebody takes the clip of me saying Ryan Day is baby shit, Charmin baby shit soft.
Hmm.
Hey, make sure it includes the part about the team is tough, but
Yeah.
him as an individual, as a coach, as a man,
Hmm.
like, man, like,
It's not it. He's not it.
dude, I wish the insoles in my shoes were that soft. I don't know if you can buy insoles that soft. God,
Man,
Ryan Day, I'm pretty sure at this point, like his wife rolls his eyes when he says things, and not just
yeah,
like, and not just in like in a, oh, we're married,
mhm,
sarcastic way, but
yeah,
like he comes in and like tries to say something to the kids, and she's like, dude, you have no clue what you're talking about. Go away. He's the
yeah,
most
right.
insufferable individual in college football.
hmm It is impossible to argue that. I would want to hear who anybody else would say that could even compete with him for that title.
I would rather Spencer Rattler from QB1. I would rather deal with
Yeah.
that Spencer Rattler for a year straight every day
hmm
than put up with a week of dealing with Ryan Day.
Yeah. It he's not even I don't know, he's not there's nothing I don't know, there's nothing there. I don't know. I mean, he was handpicked by Urban Meyer to succeed him more or less. So,
And we know what being picked by Urban Meyer does. Shout out to all of his coaches that are either in jail or on a coaching blacklist because they're awful people.
or if you just if Urban Meyer puts his finger on you just in general, it just doesn't go well for anyone.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
We got to move on. Um, Bandwagon teams. Washington moved to 4-0 as 21-point favorites, playing Cal at home over under 59 and a half. The UW Huskies damn near covered that over by themselves with
hmm
59 to 32 victory. Michael Penix was 19 to 25, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. And how is Washington not in the top five? Like
at a
if someone should have
minimum.
jumped Florida State,
Mhm.
it's Washington.
Yeah. And again, granted, okay, they played Boise State. I mean, they played at Michigan State, which apparently is, I mean, god awful. As I kind of called them my best bets last week on Saturday. But I mean, I feel like they can do this against pretty much anybody. So they'll have their chance to prove it here coming up pretty soon. But yeah, they should definitely be top five at a minimum. And again, you can make an argument top three, but
You can make an argument that they should be number one in the country, and that's an
mhm.
argument that is
Yeah,
it's one of the few legitimate arguments out there.
yeah. Throw out everything. Like if you were just straight looking if college football started this season, it would be tough to say that the University of Washington, that those dogs from out west are not the best team in college football.
Be extremely tough. Talking about some damn good dogs, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter were just in on a safety of the Buccaneers, so
Ooh.
that's fun.
Are we sure it's a safety if
Oh yeah,
Jalen
yeah.
Carter's involved?
No. The
Oh,
Buccaneers are already kicked to the free kick.
oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, yeah. All right, your bandwagon team.
Yeah, I'm so over my bandwagon team.
At this
um,
point, I don't know if you can. I don't even know if you can lead the bandwagon. I think the wheels may have fallen off.
I got dysentery off of this bandwagon. I'm dead. So Texas Tech, Texas Tech. They were a 6 point favorite at West Virginia. Over under was 55, and West Virginia won outright 20 to 13. Um,
Quick question:
uh,
is
Tech,
West Virginia good, or
they
or do you just for some reason hate West Virginia?
no, so everything that I listened to going into the season and just looking at, they, I think it's next week or the week after West Virginia plays against Houston, and everybody was talking about whoever loses this game is going to lose their head coach, since they're going to get fired. West Virginia has only lost one game, and that's to Penn State at Penn State.
And Penn
So
State's beating the shit out of everybody right now.
yeah, yes, I mean I would say Penn State at a minimum is the second best team in the Big Ten. I mean, I would take them over Ohio State at this point.
I think there's a solid argument that they might be tied or better than Michigan this far into the season.
They've shown it so far. Michigan's just been and to a lesser extent than Georgia, but they've been in like neutral, just kind of going through the motions, 4 games in because again, they haven't played anybody. Some people picked, Rutgers with the upset. Michigan, I think pushed. I think it was they were a 24-point favorite, but um, yeah, you can make an argument about Penn State. They've been electric so far, but with Texas Tech, again losing by 7 to West Virginia. West Virginia, one of the better teams in the Big 12 at the moment. Texas Tech's quarterback left the game the first quarter with an injury, and again, I don't really have much to say about this because they're 1-3 at this point. The only win they have is against the FCS team. So, are they gonna win the Big 12? No, are not even. They're not even getting to the Big 12 championship. They're not. They're 0-1 at this point. It's not looking good. Um, I don't know how long the quarterback's going to be out for, but he was, on some people's uh, he was a dark horse on some people's Heisman, preseason Heisman ballots and all that. Excuse me. But yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It fell off so much. I fell for the hype, and I'm going to fade them the rest of the season. I don't care. So I'm going to talk about them still. I'm going to, man up and take responsibility for picking them before the season, but I am fading the hell out of them the rest of the year.
I will say, the Washington bandwagon is about to come cruising past you with a jet engine. If you'd like to stick your hand out, you can jump on. You still got to get your telescope out and look back at the Texas Tech bandwagon. But
Yeah.
mainstream sports media hasn't picked up the Washington bandwagon yet, so I'm still leading. You are welcome to jump on.
I may have to do that just for my self-esteem. I was in on them too. I thought Washington was going to be good. I again not as high on them as you were, but I mean I would take them over USC. I was a lot higher on USC than anybody that we've had on. But again, at this point, you can't. Washington is the best team in the Pac-12 and maybe the country.
All right, you ready to own up to some bets?
Yeah, it's been a tough 2 weeks for me.
Not great.
Yeah.
I think what I should really start doing is just like what I say on Thursday, cool, but
hmm
what I actually put money on, I feel like I should put in like a social media post
hmm
because I doubled my money this week in what I actually put money on.
Yeah.
So felt really good about it, and I came to look at the doc to realize that I didn't do so hot in our picks. But so I took UAB covering the 42. They obviously did that. Florida State -2.5. They won by 7. Got that one. I took Ole Miss to cover and the money line. Neither of those worked out. So that's 2-2. I took Notre Dame to cover in the money line. So that's 2-4.
hmm
Took Washington to cover 21. That hit. 3-4. Wisconsin -5.5 at Purdue. That hit, but I am very upset that I did not know that was a Friday night game because
Yeah.
I was going to put more money than I normally do on a bet on this game.
hmm
Lesson learned. Check the dates. Breaks me even for the week.
hmm
Then Georgia Tech at Wake Forest. Georgia Tech won the game, which is super cool. Good for you.
hmm
Did not hit the over 60. I think they ended up scoring 46, so that was
hmm
not anywhere close. Army at Syracuse. They weren't far off from hitting the over. Still
hmm
didn't necessarily get it. But South Carolina covered 6.5 with playing Mississippi State at home. And then Penn State -14.5. I
I
think
I God, I should have took that game. As soon as I said you could have it, I immediately regretted it.
I really think for the rest of the season, my two bets, week in, week out, my two hardcore every week is going to be USC's over. It's hit
hmm
3 out of 4 weeks this season, which I did put money on this week. Um, and then Penn State to cover.
hmm
Penn State to cover every game they don't play Ohio State or Michigan
Yeah, that seems fair
because
because that
they
was a
have
game That was the game I thought that Penn State could have maybe mixed up on, and then they ended up, what was it, 42-0? Like
Yeah,
it wasn't even close. I mean, I know it was a whiteout, and that should have took it, but
they've
yeah.
more than covered. Like, I want to say they've covered plus a possession minimum in every game this season.
Hmm.
So, so for all you hardcore degenerates out there that would like to make some money with me, follow our link. Go to BetUS. USC's over,
Hmm.
and Penn State spread every week.
Hmm.
There's a
So,
couple weeks you might lose,
mhm.
but if you
But
win 10 out of 12 weeks in the regular season, it's a win.
yeah. Hmm. So for you overall, so I counted when you had said the money line on Ole Miss and Notre Dame,
Yeah.
I just counted that as one loss
Okay.
for
Okay.
both
I
those. So
appreciate that.
I have you at I have you at 6-4 this week, 23-17 overall. So
Still
you're
making
in the
money.
green, you're in the black. All right. So me on the other hand, so there was a lot of stuff that we had agreed on. So UAB covering that plus 42, they did that. Florida State talked about that, they covered. Um, Again, you convinced me to take the Ole Miss money line, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because they lost by 14. I did take the over in that game, the Ole Miss and Alabama game, which again fell short by 21 and a half points. So feel dumb there. And again, I don't know why I took the over for Ohio State Notre Dame. I thought at least maybe running the ball would end up happening, but no. I fell in love with Sam Hartman. That was my fault. He's too handsome. Um,
To be fair, he did still play well. You know, like
yeah,
at this point, if they went out, Notre Dame is a potential playoff dark horse.
mhm.
They're still in it.
they, they could. They very well could. I mean, they play USC still, so they can make up ground there.
Absolutely. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know when that game is, but that's gonna be good. That's gonna be worth talking about. Um, and then again, missed out on Texas Tech. They lost outright. They were a 6 point favorite. Now, best bet wise, did a lot better there. So Maryland kicked the shit out of Michigan State. So Maryland was an 8 point favorite. They won comfortably more than that. I did take LSU to win by 17 and a half, and I don't know why, because this Arkansas LSU game is always close. I didn't consider that going into it because I had just saw Arkansas just blow it against BYU, and I don't really think that highly of BYU. Um, so again, my fault for taking the Tigers there. I should know better to ever bet on LSU unless they're playing Ole Miss. And then the BYU Kansas game did go over 55, so it felt good there. The UNC Pitt over 50 and a half hit that comfortably. And then I don't again UVA just missed out beating NC State, but I did take NC State to cover the 9.5 there, which again red. So that said, week 4 record for me, I was 5-7 in week 4, 20-17 overall. So I'm kind of hovering a little bit above 500 at this point.
I will say this week in the stuff that I put money on, I did take your UNC at Pitt over, and I also
Hmm.
took UNC spread.
Nice.
Um, so I hit double on that game. Real happy about that. I do
Hmm.
think what I'm going to do moving forward is put out our best bets every week, and then maybe do a third page in that post
Hmm.
and put what I'm actually putting my money on
Yeah.
because I've done very well this year.
Hmm.
Um, there since week 0, there is 1 week where I broke even. Everything else I've made money. So,
There you go.
and that 1 week was a legit break even and not lose money week. So,
There you go.
you know, maybe if I do that, you guys will make some money on Bet US with me, and you can actually make some money versus our picks, which haven't done so hot, but still both in the black, so it could be
Hmm.
worse.
Yeah, and make sure to use that code. Don't just sign up and just choose on one of the other ones. Go to our link and click on that.
Yes, that'll help you out with the bonus and the risk-free bet stuff. It'll also help us out by them knowing that you're going through us, so that'll definitely help.
Hmm.
Um, oh, this is what I was going to talk about. We are putting the ASW posts out either tonight, which is Monday the 25th, or tomorrow, which is the 26th. I think what we're going to do is give until midnight on Friday, October 6th. Because
Okay.
I know it's kind of late in the month. Our contact at ASW recently got married. Shout out David Booth. So he was out for a little bit. Coming back into it now, we talked last week, and that's kind of when we set this thing up. So we're gonna give you until midnight on October 6th to all you have to do: follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter /X, comment, tag a friend in the post, whether it's Instagram or Twitter. Um, and you know what? We'll even count Facebook group. You invite a friend to the Facebook group, they join, and you follow our Instagram and Twitter, and you're in. Um,
There we
we're,
go.
we're, we're trying to give away a badass bottle of free, made in Georgia vodka, made by UGA fans and alumni. I think it's really cool. I hope you guys think it's really cool.
Mhm.
But even if you're not going to get in the giveaway, follow our Instagram at nothing.finder.pod. Follow the Twitter at finderpod. Facebook and YouTube, just search us there and make sure it's got our logo. I think that's it.
I think so.
Oh,
Definitely check that out in the next day or two.
rate and review the show 5 stars. We'll send you a sticker. And as of Monday night, both of us are planning on going to the Savannah area UGA alumni game situation they're doing at Starlin Yard.
Hmm.
No free ads for the Alumni Association or Starlin Yard, but it'll be a good time. So if you want to hang out and you're in the Savannah area, come hang out with us there.
Yeah, it
Um,
should be fun.
I'm
Hey, the weather's gonna be
actually,
great this weekend, so definitely,
you
if you're
better
not, if
knock
you haven't
on
been out
wood.
before, do it.
You better knock on wood. I am planning on bringing some stickers with me. So if you do show up, I'll watch you rate the show 5 stars before you get a sticker. No free stickers. Um,
Hell, I'll probably put on my McConkey on his donkey shirt. Why not?
there we go. I'm wearing my McConkey jersey. So,
There we go.
bring a donkey. Bring a donkey while you're at it. I'll get on it.
I get called a jackass all the time, so I got us covered, so we're good.
All right, guys. As always, remember there is nothing finer in the land.
Been a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan.